Yes.
Will you talk a little bit about the case of Judi, Darryl, and Darryl Cherney?
Judy Bari, yes. This was the not a rebirth, but a latter day COINTELPRO exercise that took place here in Oakland in about 1990. In 1990, Judi was an Earth First activist, an organizer, and they were planning a big demonstration to go on all summer. They called it Redwood Summer. They were trying to slow down the logging. There was a ballot initiative that was going to change the rules for the logging, and somebody bombed her in her car in Oakland with Darryl Cherney riding with her, and the cops came on the scene, and the FBI was on the scene in, like they were waiting around the corner holding their ears, is what we always said. And they said, look, this bomb was in plain view in the back seat of the car. It must be theirs. Bust them. And the Oakland cops busted them. She was in the emergency room in the Highland Hospital fighting for her life. 3 hours after the bomb went off, they put guards outside, and she was under arrest, and for transportation of the bomb that was used to try to kill her. And it was only a fluke that she didn't die.
Right.
So then, but that frame up kind of came unraveled in the next several weeks, and it became more, particularly once the pictures were out, you could see that the hole in the car that the bomb made was right under the driver's seat. That's where the bomb was, not in the back seat. And so a lawsuit got started. Bill Simpich, a lawyer in town, started a lawsuit. I got involved in it, and we spent
and Tony Sarah.
Tony was in it at the end for the trial, and Bob Bloom, and we spent the next 10 years pulling the evidence out, fighting the different motions to dismiss and appeals. We had 2 appeals.
You are known for your tenacity.
These cases last a long time.
I know.
They go on.
We got to go to Attica as soon as we leave this one.
this one ended good. We had a good trial in 2002, 12 years after the bombing. And we had a good verdict. We had a $4 million verdict for the plaintiffs, for Darryl and Judi, who by that time had passed away.
Right.
She had breast cancer, and she died in 1997, but the case went on.
Right.
And
I remember the video testimony because I came to court, and it was very, very moving.
Yes.
She was a beautiful young woman.
She was.
Just incredible.
And amazingly dynamic. She reminded me a lot of Fred Hampton. She was so strong as a speaker. She was so strong as a personality and magnetic. And she could push people and move people.
Right.
And command loyalty.
Right.
In a way that was similar to his.
That's why she was targeted and labeled a terrorist.
She was somebody who was dangerous to the state.
Yes.
Dangerous to the establishment.
Right.
As he was.
Well, Dennis, we have to talk about Attica because, as Liz Fink noted in this incredible booklet produced by the National Lawyers Guild, a testimonial dinner, which I had the privilege of attending and seeing you feted last year.
Nice.
It was an incredible occasion, and you so richly deserve all the accolades. Yes, you do. Hush.
I got lucky. I was lucky to be involved in a lot of stuff. But
Liz Fink called you the architect of the Attica lawsuit and trial and all because you actually were the one who figured out the strategy and so forth.
Well,
basically.
That was really nice of her to say that. I don't know. I think a lot of that stuff is the same in all those cases. It's pretty obvious what you have to do because the facts are so clear. Fred was murdered in his bed,
right.
And the shots all went one way.
Right.
And Judi was lied on by the FBI after somebody bombed her,
right.
And it was clear that happened. In Attica, they stood up and fired you know,
Vietnam style.
they were lying on the ground in the mud, all gassed, and they shot for 6 minutes. Just stand there. You see the pictures. They're just shooting into this yard from a big high wall, just firing away. Boom, 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 boom. 6 minutes full. And I don't remember if we had some approximation of the number of shots that were fired.
Well, we have to backpedal a little bit because, again, you and I, this is
we
so
know
familiar
too much.
to us. But in 1971 in Attica, New York State Prison, the prisoners demanded, in fact, came up with a list of demands because the conditions were so atrocious. And they went on strike. They took some guards hostage. They set up camp in the yard, in the big yard, and they called for negotiators. And among the negotiators was, I think Bobby Seale was called in. One of the Muslim leaders was called in.
Yes.
What was the Latino
Herman Badillo.
Herman Badillo.
Yes, there were state senators, there were reporters, Tom Wicker.
Who wrote Time to Die about Attica.
There were a lot of substantial people on that committee, and a lot of it was hugely diverse. I mean, there were right-wing senators, state senators, people like that too. And they all urged Rockefeller to negotiate.
Nelson Rockefeller was the governor of New York at the time.
Of New York, and he didn't want to negotiate, and they didn't want to show any kind of weakness or accommodation towards the prisoners who had managed to, make a rebellion that actually worked. They took over this place, and they were there for 5 days.
I know. It was all on the tube. Then the television would, it was much better than the media at that time.
Yeah, well,
because
the media
I remember
were
watching the brothers on television.
Yes. Yeah. Today, I don't think that would happen.
It wouldn't even been covered. You wouldn't even know about it.
You might know about it, but the only thing you'd hear would be official spokespeople coming out and talking to the press.
Exactly.
I mean, they learn their lessons,
But in any case, talk about the massacre itself and what happened.
Well, at the end of the 5 days, on that Monday morning, the 13th of September, 1971, they came in shooting. State police and prison guards, although Rockefeller supposedly had ordered that the guards not take part, they did take part. And they were on roofs, and they had sharpshooters on roofs, and then they had this catwalk up above the yard, and they came along the catwalk, and they, like I said, they were shooting at him. They shot 120 some guys. They killed 39 people, including 9 of their own hostages that were there, that were protected by the prisoners,
and well treated, by the way.
And yes, they were. And the idea was that there was going to be a massive show of force, and they made it. And then they made all the survivors strip naked, and they beat them up, and they put them in a long. You see that famous photograph of the long line of naked men, a snake line. And then they went into one of the tunnels, and they had to run a gauntlet inside the tunnel on broken glass, and guys with rifle butts and clubs beating on them, and put them up in the cell block, 3, 4, 5 of them to a cell.
Talk about what happened to Big Black, what they did to him.
And Big Black, Frank Smith, rest his soul, had been the head of security, so he was elected the head of security by these 1,300 brothers in the yard. And
by the way, it was a mixed bag of brothers.
Oh yeah, they were all
every
races, yes.
Yeah.
And they so they came for him in particular because he had been the one that would take the negotiators back and forth to the gate, and he stuck out, and so they put him